Michelle asked me, well, was so-and-so out? I don't know. I just counted the top of the head. That's it.
Mine's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, yours is hard to miss. But I don't know, yours is 100% natural like mine. Mine's good. Yours is more over. You have a wider part than I do.
Yeah.
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 Tonight we have a special guest with us tonight. We have Tim, and we
Am I
have
special?
yeah. We have Tim. He's special.
I feel
Well, you
special
said you was on
tonight.
the show.
I feel special tonight.
And we have Jeremy Sharp. Jeremy is the Jeremy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm interim fire chief at Forest City. I'm the fire chief at Caldwell. What else?
How long you been doing that?
28 years.
28 years.
Wow.
I hadn't held a job for 28 years. And
Wow.
I've been in the fire service for 28 years.
you got retirement coming up soon then, don't you?
I hope.
Quite a ways off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Plus your city inspector and fire marshal.
marshal and-
So you got a lot of irons in the fire.
Oh, yes. A whole lot.
How many hats do you wear over there? 3?
3 in Forest City and just
There.
1 here in Caldwell.
How long you been a member here at Caldwell Baptist?
I think actually I think it was last year. I've been going for a while.
You've been coming to church here
Yeah.
for,
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
But I actually joined the church. It was last year.
okay.
Okay. Okay.
I think Tim, out of the 3 of us, Tim's been here the longest, haven't you?
Let's see. It was 88 when I joined.
Let's see, what grade was I in?
I was 11.
I just got out of high school.
So you got out in 88.
I graduated in 87 and
Okay.
then I joined here and I ended up joining here I think in 88, early 88.
I think I joined in 96, 98, somewhere in there. I don't remember what year it was, but it was because we lived in Jonesboro for a little bit, and then we moved back home to the family farm in Blackton, and then we moved back to we moved to Wynn. It'd be back to Wynn for Michelle because is where she's from.
Yeah.
And when I became a member, I told Miss Donna a couple weeks ago when she was in here with us, I was a CEO church member. Yeah, Christmas and Easter only. Yeah, I heard somebody say it was they called them. I was listening to somebody talking. He said, "Yeah, next week all the Christian bunnies are going to be out." He said, "That's everybody goes to church on Easter only." So, well, that used to be me. I can't say much about that. That used to be me.
Yeah.
But Tim?
That was me the first few years when I came here. We came regularly, then just kind of faded off, and I thought tonight would really be, because I was one of them wayward members for a while.
So what was it that brought you from being a church member to being an active church member?
It was to be an active. It was actually coming in, and we had a pastor here at that time. He was actually new, Gary Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
and me and him just clicked. We just clicked, and he took me under his wing and mentored me, and man, I just after that I started growing. I was able to grow because I had a desire to be here. It just gave me a desire because you had somebody that you felt like, they care. And the church that I grew up in, it was so big, and, there was folks there that really cared, but I never had anybody that just kind of took me under their wing, and just kind of mentored me and stuff, because they were just, I guess they were all too busy. I don't know. But anyway, that's what,
I think some people may feel awkward being somebody's spiritual mentor. Like we talked about a week before last having spiritual gifts and people being active in the church, and some people feel comfortable doing things, some people don't feel comfortable doing a lot. And that may be something that some people are kind of scared of doing. I know I would be.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
big
feel
time.
like I'd be in that kind of position.
Mhm.
So what brought you in from, I count heads, so I see everybody's up there, and mine shines almost as much as yours, so
Yes.
I can spot you when you're here.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't see faces, so, Michelle asked me, well, was so-and-so out? I don't know, I just count at the top of the head. That's it.
Mine's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, yours is hard to miss. But I don't know, yours is 100% natural like mine. Mine's good. Yours is more over. You have a wider part than I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you're here quite a bit. Is there something that in your past that you went from just going to church to being a regular church member?
Just feeling more comfortable. That's the big thing, is feeling more comfortable around everybody. It's kind of like, use it like at the fire department. The fire department's a big family. Well, that's the way church feels, especially here is a big family.
Yeah.
I guess I can relate to that because when I started coming here, I didn't know anybody. I'm not from here. So the only people I knew was Michelle's family, which she had a large family that attended here for a while. And of course I knew them, but I didn't feel comfortable going to Sunday school class, and I didn't know anything. I was dumb as a rock. Well, I'm still dumb. I've moved above the rock level, but I didn't feel comfortable in Sunday school class and carrying on conversations, and sometimes my mind would wander off in the wrong direction, and I didn't feel comfortable talking. And kind of like Tim, Brother Michael came here after I got active, and he kind of took me under his wing, and I grew quite a bit with him. And Brother Michael was somebody I felt comfortable talking to, and sometimes you ask questions, and you have a question that comes up, and you feel awkward asking a question because you feel like you're going to say something that's sacrilegious, or somebody going to go, oh, you shouldn't think like. But I was able to ask those questions with Brother Michael.
Yep.
So, from being a member to an active member, and Tim, you're here every Sunday. Very seldom are you not here.
Yeah.
And you play an important role in our church. What does being a active, supporting member of the church mean to you? Kind of a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what does it mean to me?
What does it do for you? What does it do for you?
It gives me a sense of responsibility, and I like that. I like feeling like I have responsibility, and sometimes responsibility can kind of lower you down. But I mean, just doing the things around the church and stuff just really don't. I mean, I've come to I've come to love the church and love the people here, and that makes me want to be here. Makes me want to be able to to help someone. I like trying to help folks. Is what I like trying to do, and that's basically, I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. How about you? Our subject today is why you should the importance of attending church in person and not just sitting home and watching it. And of course, we know there are times when you can't. And with your role, you've got a role that, as a public servant, sometimes you can't be here.
Yeah.
And that plays an important role. But you've been out with us on is it first Sunday of the month? First Sunday of the month. You're going to be there this Sunday, right?
Oh, yes. I'll be here.
Cooking pancakes.
Yes.
Well, I tell you, we've gotten pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I kind of look forward to it on the first of the month now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So being an active member now and being a little more comfortable, what does it mean to you?
kind of like just helping out, kind of like what he said, you know, serving people. Because that's kind of like my whole life is kind of like public service.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, it just feels right for me,
Kind of goes right along with your
Yes.
job.
Mm-hmm.
And
except not as much stress.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, fortunately, for me and for Tim, we both own our own business, and we're able to say when we can and when we can't work.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's other things
That
that
helps.
dictate
You know,
that.
that helps.
Yeah,
When it comes to serving the church, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps to be able to do it because there's a lot of folks that got a 8-hour, 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 6 or whatever they got to work, job, and man, they're there. You
You
take
know-
you take people at a plant or something like that,
yeah.
and they've got to be there.
When I first became a member here, I worked for Coke, and we had a swing shift. So you would be off 2 days, say Monday and Tuesday, and that would be I think that was for a month, and then you would go to Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know, this has been a long time ago. But you would move, your days off would move.
Oh.
So you would only get off on Sunday, that would roll around.
During on a rotation.
Yeah, it'd be on a rotation. Yeah, and then I when I moved up to supervisor, I was supposed to be Monday through Friday, but on call 7 days a week. And they'd never fail. I'd get called in on weekends all the time. When you move into salary and a supervisor, that's just free labor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You get more responsibility for less hourly pay.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think we can all relate to this next line of, what are some of the reasons people miss church? Everybody takes vacations.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has, they want to go hunting,
Yeah.
go play golf. They got their activities going on.
Yeah.
For me, I can remember I would have to get up at 4:30 in the morning and get ready for work, and then I wouldn't get home till we weren't allowed to leave until 5 o'clock, no earlier. So that would put me leaving during rush hour traffic. So I wouldn't get home sometimes until, now that was the earliest you could leave. You could not leave until no earlier than 5 o'clock. So it'd be 6:30, dragging home, and then Sunday roll around. I just want to sleep in.
Yeah.
I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
I just want to sleep in.
Yep.
So there's some people like everybody in the past. You got to work, can't get off, and that's understandable. And I don't think that's something to look down on. But I do think that the online presentation that we've got now, I think that's an important part for those people that can't be there. If you can't listen to the service,
You can watch it later on.
yeah, you can watch
Yeah.
it later on.
Yep.
What are I put in here, what are some of the reasons people aren't coming to church consistently? And one of the things I put down was they're not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all kind of hit on that. We're not comfortable. And I think that's something that for us as members and any of our members that are watching, that needs to be an eye opener. That at least two. I don't know if Tim said it or not. Did you say you weren't comfortable?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Two of us did. Two of us said we didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So as members now we see 2/3 of us didn't come to church on a regular basis, didn't attend Sunday school because we weren't comfortable. So if we know that, now we need to take that as a presumption up front when we have somebody coming in that's not here. We need to assume they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So what do we need to do to make them comfortable?
Yeah.
And there's some people that just don't feel like they fit in. And there's there's people that want to sit at home and watch it on YouTube, not show up in person. Takes up too much time. What do y'all think some of the reasons that people wouldn't show up for church at all would be?
Well, I mean, you've got it down here on the thing. You know, it's they listen to the worldly things on TV, and the worldly things on TV tell them that the church is full of hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you know, and I say, yeah, that's right. We're all sinners. You know, and we all need this time together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you had have you had any experience on somebody telling you why they don't come to church?
I haven't. Usually when you start talking about that, people just kind of
Yeah.
like back away from you and they
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Well, I've talked to a few of the guys that work with me, and unfortunately they were a passenger in my truck, so they couldn't get out and walk away. But the people that I've talked to, they're like he said. People say, "Oh, you know, they're hypocrites in church." And one of them told a story about he went to church and the preacher got up there and told him how smoking was a sin and drinking is a sin and doing all this is a sin. And he said, I walked outside, and that preacher walked up to his car and lit a cigarette up right before he got in his vehicle. He said, that man just got through telling me that smoking's a sin.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you know, that guy's he's human.
Yeah.
You know, I said, did he get up there and tell you, I don't do this and I don't do that? And I said, no, he didn't. He was telling you what you need to hear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him a story when I was a kid. We had a small town, Holly Grove. Dr. Stone was a big man. And back then, you could smoke inside. Well, he'd sit up there on his little stool, and he'd smoke the whole time. He'd ask him, what's wrong with you? And he told this guy that he needed to watch what he's eating, lose some weight, and get some exercise. He said, now, Dr. Stone, you outweigh me by at least 50, 60 pounds, and you're sitting over here smoking. And Dr. Stone said, yep, but you came and paid me to tell you what you need to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, you got to understand that the preacher, they're human too. They're sinning. There ain't but one person walked the face of the earth that didn't sin.
Yep.
That's right.
And he's got his problems just like everybody else. But his job is to stand up here and tell you what you shouldn't do. Not following his footsteps. I mean, following his footsteps probably be good too, but he's not always perfect.
No.
None of us are.
No.
And they do put a preacher on a pedestal at times, you know, but they're just human beings like we are, and I mean they're just there to try to spread God's word and you know and trying to do the best they can. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I
they're-
said, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, they're like everybody else, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Have y'all ever had anybody say that they can learn the Bible on their own, they can study it on their own, learn?
I used to work with a guy that said that.
Really?
Yes. He said that he does not need to go to church. He said he can read the Bible and do just as good as the people sitting in church are.
Did he quote scripture a lot and get it wrong?
No. He never would actually carry on a conversation like that with you.
Well, I've had people in the past that would quote scripture, and I've done it. You know, reading on my own, taking a look at that, and not going back and figuring out, well, this scripture says this, but you got to go back and read this, and you know, I'd come up with the wrong conclusion myself. I was bad about doing that, and
The Bible talks about that too. You know, it talks about that's where you want to come together because, was it iron sharpens iron?
yeah.
And that way we're all here together. And we just kind of we can do like we're doing here tonight, and just talking, and we could talk about Bible verses and just and just we could all learn something from it.
Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." So, come to church and having open conversations with people and studying the Bible. You know, you're listening to the preacher, and you may not understand what he says. You may have a different opinion of it, or a different, I'm sorry, not opinion. Your mind may be taking you somewhere else. But I'm sure the preacher wouldn't mind you stopping him after the sermon or call him the next day and tell him, "Hey, this is what you said, but this is what I think."
Mm-hmm.
You can stop and ask any deacon or anybody else, as long as you're, kicking it back and forth with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Because what you might get from it and what he might get from it, or, it might be leading him one way and leading you another way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Because, you take it, and that's the reason why, that's what the importance of church is, because you have a congregation here, and then you can bring up the subject. You can talk these subjects, little small groups or anything like that, where you can discuss things, and you learn how to study that verse, because you read that verse, you're going, okay, now that don't sound too, but you've got to go back to verses before, and then you need to read the verses after, and then you need to go to another book where they're talking the same thing, and you can kind of get a idea of what things are being said and what actual this verse is saying. And if you're smart enough, you can study the actual Greek or the actual Hebrew words of it, and then pick them up, and then you can learn from that. But
No, I just soon call somebody.
yeah, I know it.
I don't know if I had time to learn another language. I can
well,
barely speak English.
That's what them concordance is for, though.
Yeah. Well, there's a growing number of people that they don't come to church because they simply don't believe in God. They don't believe in a higher being. And we live in a society today where that number is starting to overtake the number of people that believe in God. And I'd read a lot of stats on the different percentages, and I was going to throw that in here, and I didn't put it in, and now I'm kind of wishing I would have, because I don't remember it off the top of my head. One of the studies that that I was reading on was talking about the percentage of people that believe in God and the difference from 10 years ago. Well, you would think that 10 years ago it would still be our generation that had the stronger belief in God, but actually what's happening is Gen Xers are becoming more spiritual than what generation are we?
I don't know, y'all younger than me.
Oh.
I'm the one after baby boomers, so I don't know.
Okay. But our generation is starting to fade away. They're starting to turn, and I don't know if it's because of the flood of information that comes our way now. Because every time you turn around, your phone is binging, and you're looking at it, and you got some news feed, and it's
Yeah.
And you look at the way the leaders of our nation, the leaders of our state, our country, leaders of our world, look at the way they act.
Yeah.
And it's totally different.
Yeah, big time.
Just to kind of give you an idea of how different times are, you go back to the 30s and 40s and look at pictures. Look at pictures of men in their 30s and 40s. They're all going to work wearing a tie, wearing a hat, wearing a suit. And today, we got our pants drooped down, and that's how we're going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Just a totally different mindset from one era to the next.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
But the percentage of people that's what caught my attention, is there's hope because the younger generation are starting to grasp it a little bit. But one of the things that I noticed in this research was something that I've been saying for a while. Your phone's tweeting at you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying for a while, when I started going to church, I didn't get rooted into church because I came in and sat down in the pews and listened to the preacher talking. I came in for all the extracurricular activities, which turned into a social event, which turned into friendship, which turned into, I don't want to call it peer pressure, but peer influence on coming to church. And I think that's some of the things that churches need to focus on is getting these social events going on for the younger generation that are really into that, and that keeps them in church. And the ones that started in as teenagers that got involved, and younger, teenagers and younger, got involved in church for the extracurricular activities, stayed in church. They may have, like we did, I was raised in church. We went to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, when I became an adult and kind of doing my own thing, I'm the head of my household. I'm going to sleep in Sunday morning. We all went through that period, but I came back. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're finding. These that went through the growth into church as a youth, they may have left, but they came back. Mm-hmm. And they had a stronger root in church than those that started like our age. You can't teach an old dog new tricks,
Yeah.
I guess what they say. So just a thought, looking at that research, I was kind of intrigued by that. We know why we don't go to church, and we know, why. There's a couple things that we talked about why we should go to church. What do y'all think, in your minds, are the key points for being in a regular church attendance?
I think you learn better. I think you get more out of the message versus I can't sit and watch it on YouTube or Facebook. I get better feeling out of it when I actually come and sit and listen versus trying to watch it or trying to do it on my own. Because if I try to do it on my own, it's not going to happen because everything's going to come before it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Always going to be something throwing in the way. You try to sit down and read something, and you always got something coming up. And
Phone's going to ring.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you're watching it on YouTube and your phone rings, you're more apt to pull your focus from here. He's still talking, or you just may not come back to it.
Right. I think when you come to church and you have the people around you, you just seem to get more out of it with everybody. You have people around you that we're all like-minded, and we're able to agree with things. We're going to disagree on some things, but we agree on most things and a lot of things, everything. And it's just, I think it's just, again, it just builds more. Just you build relationships. You build yourself. Yourself gets built. Your walk with Christ grows, and you learn more. It just seems to do more when you got people around you.
The study that I was telling you about, they actually went into a little more detail on people that attended church on a regular basis. They were happier, generally happier. Mm-hmm. Those people surveyed as they were happier and more content with who they were, what they have, as opposed to somebody that didn't attend church at all. And I kind of feel like I thought about that. I thought, well, when I come to church on Sunday, it's like a I don't want to call it a recharge, but a refresh. Mm-hmm. You've come in and you're ready for Monday morning because you've had that extra boost.
Mm-hmm.
And like
I
you talk
agree.
about, you're around people that are like-minded, and if you're like me, when I'm studying the scripture and reading up on a topic, I know Brother Michael. Sometimes I'll wear him out. I'll get hung up on a word, and I can't let it go until somebody explains to me what it means, because I'm going all the way over here trying to figure this out. And I'll call somebody like Brother Michael, and there's two other people that I call that are very versed in the Bible, and they'll kind of guide me in the right direction. Get off that word and look at look a different way.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what I get out of coming to church. I'm able to, for me, having a conversation with like-minded people and
Yep.
kind of get my mind right.
Yep.
Lord knows whoever's trying to get my mind right, they got their hands full.
Yeah.
But we have people in our church who can't attend church. Chuck is one of them. I had a conversation with Chuck this week, and I was telling him what our podcast was about, and he said, man, you're gonna make me feel bad because I hadn't been to church but one time. And I said, Chuck, that's what this is about. It's a topic about why you should be in church,
Mhm.
but there's some people that just can't.
Right.
And Chuck is one of them. Chuck has had his road plowed up for him,
Mhm. He sure has.
and God's been with him. He has guided him through some tough times. Him and Debbie, I know Debbie's. Sometimes you see people that's had a hard road health-wise, and you don't always understand what the
Right.
spouse is going through.
Right.
And Debbie's a strong woman, but having the online presence is there for people like you that may not be. You may be on call. People who have jobs that they have to work on Sunday, or people like Chuck who can't be in public. There's times where he just cannot be around people. COVID really did him in.
Mhm.
So I don't think that by us sitting here talking about why you should be in church, it almost like saying, well, you shouldn't have an online presentation if you need to be in church. If you should be in church. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a reason that we have that, but don't use that as a crutch.
Right.
You'll stunt your growth by just listening to it online.
Well, it's I mean, you have your shut-ins. That's what we're talking about, Chuck. And he's not
Yeah.
a shut-in, but he is. Hey, right now he's just not able to come. But we have our shut-ins, and it's the older folks. They're ill or something. They just can't get out anymore.
Mhm.
And so that's what the online presence is for. Is for them, and two for the ones that are having to miss a Sunday. They can go back and they can watch. But it's the thing. I mean, it's just the ones that are physically able, mentally able to come to church. They should be in church. That way you can build yourself and you can grow, and mature in your Christian life.
Mhm. Well, another thing that attending church for me has done, especially doing this, and doing this podcast has helped me, because even though I read the Bible, I study the Bible, Tim and I coming in and we sit up there in the loft, and I come in early in the morning, and Tim shows up about 30 minutes after I do, and we get things going. And during the service, I'm tuned in to what's going on over here or changing the slides, and I got a small brain. I can't do a whole lot of things at one time. So Brother Michael was observant enough to realize that I wasn't catching everything. I wasn't getting anything out of the service, because something would blink on the screen and I'd draw my attention. Like we're talking about, if you're watching on Facebook, all it takes is something to blink over here and your attention's drawn away and you didn't catch what was said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what was happening to me sitting up in the loft. I went all year and didn't hear a single sermon. But I was here helping do God's work, and I was feeling good about myself because I was here every Sunday and getting everything going, but I wasn't learning. I wasn't being fed, and you know, that screen would blink, and I'd get my attention over here, and then I'd turn back to Brother Michael when he's preaching, and he's 25 sentences ahead of where he was when I turned my attention, and I'm lost now.
Yeah.
So when I get lost, it's hard for me to find my way. But for me, it's rejuvenation, and it's forcing me to study the Bible the way I should.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the other benefits, the same study that I was talking about, some of the other benefits, you know, they went into a lot, but one of them that caught my attention was, there was a couple of things that caught my attention really, but we had a rise in the number of people that didn't believe in God or thought that the Bible was nothing but a bunch of myths and fairy tales that was put together. But archaeology has come a long way with finding things that they're going, this was in the Bible.
Right.
And there's a group of them that will use the Bible. I know I'm veering away from what I was about to say, but there's a group of them that will use the Bible as a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know that they think they have found Sodom and Gomorrah? Because they found an area based off of Scripture, and they went over there and they found sulfur. It's buried in the sand and in the dirt, and they pull it out and you can light it, and it stinks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they think they have found the actual Sodom and Gomorrah where it was located. But the growing number of people that don't believe in God, don't believe in a higher power, is going right along with the rate of divorce. But the rate of divorce, we're now touching a little over 50%. But among regular church attendees, 20. So it cuts that way down. And I think that in itself helps in society, because a child brought up in a two-parent home is less likely to end up in prison.
Yes.
Yeah. Very true.
And I think as the head of the household, whether you're male or female, there's some female out there that's head of household, it's our responsibility to bring our family up in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you think it's the best for your family or not, you can go back and look at studies, and it'll tell you.
Yes.
And again, that's one that I didn't put the stats in. I wish I would have. But studies show any kid that was raised up going to church, you're less likely to. I'm not saying every kid raised in church.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with the way society is and the way society's leading people. You know, if you're not in church and following the Bible, you're going to get led off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can tell y'all that the last podcast we talked about. No, wait, it was, which one were we talking about? The spiritual gifts. That was two podcasts ago.
No. 3. It was 3.
Okay.
Because 2 ago was Miss Donna.
Okay. Well, that's when
Not counting tonight.
Okay. Well, we talked about the spiritual gifts and what people can do in church, and I think that goes along with today's topic, which is why you should attend church. And you know, I sat right back there, held the wall up, and kept looking at these monitors up here, and I'd go, well, they're not on. And I asked Brother Gary one Sunday, I said, why aren't we using the media boards? He said, nobody volunteered to run them. I said, well, I guess I will. And that's what got me started. There was a need, and I was at that moment where I felt like I needed to be doing something, but I didn't know where my role was in church. I'm not a theologian. I don't belong behind the pulpit. I don't belong in, head of Sunday school class, but I had a role. And I think anybody can find their role. They just need to come in and look around and see what it is.
Mhm.
If you see something that's not being done, you think it can be done, volunteer.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. Well, that's all I've got for tonight.
Well, good. That's a good discussion.
Yep.
Yep.
Real good.
I appreciate you coming out.
Thanks
Yeah.
for the invite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We
appreciate
hope
you
to have
being
you
here.
again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim,
Yep.
have a good night. We'll
Yeah.
see you next week.
All right.
All right.
Good night.